Very good morning to all of you, my friends. In the last session, we finished service costing. In fact, in the previous 3 sessions, we were discussing service costing. And in the last session, we finished service costing. So I hope you guys are done with all the questions of study material and past practice manual. And I hope you are thorough with the concepts of service costing. So I have got a message from Yogita sir, done with the homework. Very good, Yogita. Very good morning to all of you. So now, enough with the cost calculation part. Let's move towards the next part of cost and management accounting. That is the management accounting part, wherein we will discuss this costing technique, how it assists management in decision making. We discussed when talking about the calculation of the total cost for service industry, we discussed service costing, wherein a particular person is into construction business, they were using contract costing. Further, wherein a raw material, if passes through more than one process, before being converted into final product, we were using process costing, and the general manufacturing units were using cost sheet to calculate the total cost of the product. Now, as far as the calculation of cost of product, we are done with it. Now, let's move towards the next part of cost and management accounting, that is standard costing. So let me check. Madhuri Nikhare, Poonam Sharma, sir, I have doubt in practical question number 2. Very good, Madhuri. Sir, I have completed all the illustration. Neha, except illustration number 11, all the doubts are clear. Pooja. Very good, Rajiv Kumar. Very good, Neha. So now, few students are finding difficulty in few illustrations or practical question. So I'll try to keep a query session after finishing all my chapters. I'll give you a 6 to 7 days time, and then we'll keep a query session for all the chapters what I have discussed. I do remember that I have to cover the remaining part of material cost control, that is relating to LIFO method, FIFO method. So I'll be addressing all your queries in the query session, because enough of time on service costing. Very good morning. Very good, Mantanjali. So now let's move towards the next part, a very, very important chapter, that is standard costing. We call it as variance analysis also. Now, this standard costing technique has nothing to do with cost calculation. I repeat again, the standard costing technique has nothing to do with cost calculation. It's a management tool for decision making. सब कुछ खत्म हो जाता है. To find out that where anything is going wrong in the organization, we use the standard costing technique. So, the standard costing technique is a part of management accounting and it assists management in decision making. So the standard costing technique is a part of management and accounting, and further it assists management in decision making. Now, how come it assists? We'll be discussing in this chapter one by one. Now let's move towards standard costing. Very good morning, Rashmin Kumar. I think Pooja Dayaram I have covered overheads in detail. Further, I have discussed the questions on machine hour rate also this time. So now, let's start with this chapter, standard costing. Now, what's the concept behind standard costing? Every company do set up benchmark, target and standards at the beginning of the year. And they do compare these targets set with the actual results at the year end. So there will be a difference between the target set and the actual results. These differences are known as variances. And why this variances? Who is the person responsible behind these variances? That also standard costing technique helps us to figure out. So it provides two things. First and the foremost thing, that what are the differences between the target set and the actual results. And the second thing, what is the reason behind these differences? That also standard costing technique helps us to figure out. So I repeat again, guys, what is standard costing? A very simple way that every company do set up benchmark or targets at the beginning of the year. And these targets set are compared with the actual results at the year end. Definitely there will be some differences between the target set and the actual results. So these differences, deviation, variances are known as basically the variance. And why this variances? Which department is responsible for this variances? That also standard costing technique help us to figure out. So we get two things in standard costing. First is the calculation of variances, and the second thing is analysis of variance. Now, let's say a company manufactured 10,000 units. Now the company has set up the target that these 10,000 units will be manufactured using 20,000 kgs of raw material. The company has estimated well in advance that these 10,000 units will be manufactured using 20,000 kgs of raw material. So this was the benchmark or target set. But when the actual results were out, these 10,000 units were manufactured using 22,000 kgs of raw material. I repeat again, the company has set up a target that we will manufacture 10,000 units using 20,000 kgs of raw material. But when the actual results were out, the actual raw material that is consumed to manufacture 10,000 units is 22,000 kgs. It means what? There is a difference between the target set and the actual result. That is what we call as variances. Now, is this good or bad for the company? It is bad for the company. So we call it as adverse for the company. I repeat again the same illustration. The company has set up a benchmark or target that is that they will manufacture 10,000 units using 20,000 kgs of raw material. When the actual results were out, we manufactured these 10,000 units using 22,000 kgs of raw material. It means what? We consume 2,000 kgs of raw material extra. So this is not a good thing for the company. So we call it as adverse. Let's take another example. The company has predicted well in advance that these 10,000 units will be manufactured using 5,000 labor hours only. The work will be done in 5,000 hours only. Now, when the actual figures were out, my worker did a great job and they finished the work in 4,800 hours only. It means what? My worker did well. They worked efficiently and instead of 5,000, my work was completed in 4,800 hours. It means we did a good job and we saved 200 hours. We saved the cost of 200 hours. So we call it as favorable for the company. Let's take another example. We have predicted well in advance that we will manufacture 10,000 units, and we estimated that our other overheads will be, let's say, 5 lakh rupees. I repeat again, the company has predicted that my other overheads will be rupees 5 lakh only to manufacture 10,000 units. But again, when the actual figures were out, the total overhead cost was 5,50,000 rupees. It means what? There is a loss to the company by 50,000 rupees. So again, we call it as adverse for the company. So these are the variances. Now, why these variances? That also standard costing technique help us to figure out. I'll be discussing this part. So I request you guys to copy this part. So the standard costing, very simple. Every company do set up benchmark targets or standards at the beginning of the year. And when the actual results are out, they do compare these targets set with the actual result. So there are difference between the target set and the actual results. We call them as variances or deviation. So the standard costing technique first help us to find out that how much is the variances, and second, which department is actually responsible for this variance. That also standard costing technique help us to figure out. So if you guys have any doubts, any queries in this part, you guys can ask me. In the meanwhile, I suggest you guys to please copy this part. Now, let's say I'm the owner of a company. Now, what is my major motto? Very simple, to earn profit. I repeat again, let's say I'm the owner of a company, I'm the owner of a business, and I have a manufacturing unit, and let's say I'm manufacturing plastic buckets. Now, what is the major motto behind conducting business? Very simple, to earn profit. No, now I have provided enough of man, machinery, material, and resources, and I have predicted well in advance that at least I should get a profit of 5 lakh rupees. Since I have provided enough of man, machinery, material, and resources, so I have predicted that accordingly I should get at least a profit of rupees 5 lakh. So this was my target set, that keeping in mind all the resources provided, I should get a profit of rupees 5 lakh at the year end. Now, when the actual figures were out, there was a profit of rupees 3 lakh only. It means what? There is a loss of 2 lakh. it means there is a variance of 2 lakh and it is adverse to my company. I repeat again, I have provided enough of resources, enough of man, machinery, material, and I have predicted well in advance that I'll be getting a profit of rupees 5 lakh. But when the actual figures were out, I got a profit of only 3 lakh. It means there is a loss of 2 lakh. Even though I have provided sufficient of man, machinery, material, still I have got a profit of rupees 2. I've got a profit of rupees 3 lakh only. That is, there is, I have got less profit by rupees 2 lakh. So we call it as adverse for the company. Now I have to figure out that who is responsible behind this loss of 2 lakh rupees. I have to find out कि कहां पे क्या गलत हुआ कि मेरा प्रॉफिट जो है वो 2 लाख रुपीस से कम आया. I have to find out. Can you guys tell me what is the reason behind this loss of 2 lakh? Can anyone tell me what is the reason behind this loss of profit of 2 lakh? What are the factors that contribute to this loss of 2 lakh? Can anyone tell me? Very good, Himanshu Gupta. I've got answer from Himanshu that there is a labor inefficiency or carelessness. Miss Shruti, inefficient management. It's a very diplomatic answer because at the end of the day, I'm the managerial person and I'm the owner of the company. Anyone else? Can you guys tell me what are the factors behind this loss of 2 lakh? Okay, I've got an answer from Isha Jaiswal, inefficient worker. Tanya Patkar, irresponsible nature of worker. Tisha Jain, well said, inflation. Lack of proper planning. Madhuri Nikhare. Prabhas Jain, underuse of resources. Higher cost of material, labor inefficiency, etc. Adverse variances. Okay, I've got an answer from Riya Jaiswal that sales department might be responsible. Very good, Riya. Over material consumption. Very good, Battu Vijay Kumar. So now, this profit is dependent upon two factors. In general, how we get profit? Very simple. Sales minus cost is what? Profit. This is how we get profit. So, change होगा या कहीं deviation आया होगा, तो either it will be in the sales or it will be in the cost. Very simple. I repeat again. Let's say my sales is 10 lakh. My cost is 7 lakh. So my profit will be how much? 3 lakh. So अगर कहीं change आया होगा, तो या तो 10 लाख में दैट इज सेल्स में चेंज आया होगा या कहीं चेंज आया होगा तो कॉस्ट में चेंज आया होगा. सो दीज आर द टू फैक्टर्स दैट आर कंट्रीब्यूटिंग टू द प्रॉफिट, दैट इज आइदर सेल्स और प्रॉफिट. अगर ये दो फैक्टर्स में कहीं पे भी चेंज आया है तो इट मींस देयर विल बी अ डेविएशन इन प्रॉफिट. सो व्हेन टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस लॉस ऑफ 2 लाख, प्रॉब्लम क्या रहा होगा? आइदर इट इज ड्यू टू चेंज इन सेल्स or due to some inefficiencies in the sales department or due to change in cost department. So the loss of profit may be due to sales department or due to change in cost. Further, you can say it is due to change in sales or due to change in cost. Further, when talking about cost, we can divide further the cost in three parts. That is material, labor, and overheads. Further, overheads also can be classified in two parts. That is fixed overheads and variable overheads. So in short, if there is any deviation or variance in profit, it may be due to change in sales or it may be due to change in cost. When talking about change in cost, या तो material department में कुछ गड़बड़ हुआ है, or either my labor department is not functioning efficiently, or maybe due to change in production of overheads, that is either fixed or variable overhead. So these are the factors which contribute the deviation in the profit. So now we are well aware about that what all department we have to investigate if we want to figure out that which department is actually contributing to this loss of 2 lakh. So I repeat again, guys, I have estimated a profit well in advance that I should get a profit of 5 lakh rupees. But when the actual results were out, my profit was rupees 3 lakh only. Now there is a loss of 2 lakh. Now I have to investigate that which department is contributing to this loss of 2 lakh. So either it may be due to change in sales or it may be due to change in cost. When talking about cost, it may be either due to change in material cost or maybe due to labor cost or maybe due to overheads, that is fixed and variable overheads. So now to find out the person who is responsible for this loss of 2 lakh, we will investigate each and every department one by one. That is starting from material, labor, fixed overhead and variable overhead. We will do the detailed investigation of these departments. When talking about the investigation of sales department, it is not covered in inter-level. So we will not be discussing this part. So we will be investigating only the material department, labor department, fixed overhead department, and variable overhead department. These all factors that are contributing to this loss of 2 lakh, we will be investigating and we will try to figure out that who is the culprit, who is the person behind this loss of 2 lakh. So if you guys have any doubts, you guys have any queries, you guys can ask me. Further, I request you guys to please copy this diagram. So now, one by one, we have to investigate each and every department to figure out that who is the culprit and who is the person behind this loss of rupees 2 lakh. So we'll be starting our investigation process with the material department. So let's start with material department. Yes, Mr. Battu Vijay Kumar, fixed overhead can be a factor that contribute the variance in profit. So now let's start with the investigation of material department. So now I am the owner of the company Now I have a loss of 2 lakh. I have a deviation of profit of 2 lakh. Now I think that material department is contributing to this loss of 2 lakh. So what I will do, I will call the head of the material department. Ki bhai, there is a loss of 2 lakh and I think your department is only contributing to this loss of 2 lakh. So what material department head will do? What he will say that no sir, my department is not contributing. Still, you give me some time. I'll just check out and will prepare you a detailed report of my department and will submit it to you. So now, what the material head will do, he will prepare a detailed report that whether there is any deviation in my department between the target set and the actual results. So he will prepare a detailed report, and what detailed report he will be preparing, we'll be discussing now. So now, material department का जो head है अपने cabin में जाएगा, and what he will look into, the first thing what he will look into is that what are the targets that are set by the company. So let's say this data is given in the question. This data is given in the question that what are the targets set by the company. So it is given that we are manufacturing a particular product wherein we are using 2 types of raw material, X and Y. When talking of X, if we are consuming 60 kgs of X, then we have to consume 40 kgs of Y. So my total input will be 100. The company has predicted well in advance that there will be a loss of 20% on inputs, that is the normal loss. And we will be getting an output of 80 units. I repeat again, guys. अभी material department के पास correct picture आ गया है. The head of the materials department is having a correct picture that we are manufacturing our products by using 2 types of raw material, that is X and Y. When talking about X, if the quantity consumed of X is 60 kgs, then Y will be consumed 40 kgs. The total input will be 100 kgs. The normal loss is 20% of input. So the output is 80 kgs. So I repeat again, this is what the budgeted data is provided by the company management, that whatever the products you are manufacturing, 2 types of raw material will be required, X and Y. If X is used 60 kgs, then Y will be used 40 kgs. The total input will be 100 kgs. 20% will be the normal loss, and my final output will be 80 units. So it means what this question is saying, that for every 80 units, you have to use 60 kgs of X, 40 kgs of Y. The company is nowhere saying that you have to manufacture 80 units only. This budget, this target set is for 80 units. That is, for every 80 units, you have to use 60 kgs of X, 40 kgs of Y. We will get an input of 100. The normal loss will be 20% of the input, and my output will be 80. Further, the company has provided us the data that we have to purchase X and Y at the rate of rupees 5 and 4. We have to purchase X at the rate of rupees 5 and Y at the rate of rupees 4 per kg. So this is what the budgeted data is given by the management. Now let's check the actual results. Let's check the actual result. When the actual results were out, the total raw material that is consumed for X is 700 kgs. For Y, the total raw material consumed is 300 kgs. There was a total input of 1000 kgs. The normal loss is 300 kgs of the input, and the output was 700 kgs. I repeat again, when the actual figures were out, the X was used 700 kgs, Y was used 300 kgs. The total input was of 1000 kgs, a normal loss of 30% of input when talking about the actual figures. So my output was 700 kgs. When talking about the price at which X is purchased and Y is purchased, so X was purchased for 4 rupees and Y was purchased for 5 rupees. So the total cost incurred is 2800 and 1500, 4300. So this is what my actual data is. Now the question is, we have to calculate the variances. That is, what is the difference between the target set and the actual results? So my first question to you guys, are these two figures comparable or not? Can we say कि भाई X का 60 kgs यूज करना चाहिए था मगर हम लोगों ने 700 kgs यूज किया? Can we say like that? I am waiting for your answers, guys. My first question is, are these two figures comparable? Can we say X का 60 kgs यूज करना चाहिए था और हमने यूज कर लिया 700 kgs? Similarly, we were supposed to use 40 kgs of Y, but we actually used 300 kgs. मतलब there is a loss of 260 kgs. Can we say like that? I'm waiting for your answers. Okay, I've got answer from Neha Murarka. No, sir, not comparable. Figures are not comparable. Nalini C, not comparable. Sir, the purchase price differs. Rashmin Kumar. Tisha Jain, I've got answer from Tisha. Neha Murarkar. Pooja. Miss Madhuri Nikhare. Can we say that X was supposed to be used 60 kgs and we actually use 700 kgs? Can we say like that, that there is a loss of 640 kgs? Is this statement correct or not? PS Pooja, very good. Okay, I've got an answer from Jyoti. Sir, the difference is very high. Siddhapa Kample, this statement is correct. Okay. Very good, Tanishka. Again, PS Pooja, it should be reused in the ratio of 6:4. Very good, Rajiv Kumar Das. So, my final conclusion is these two figures are not comparable. Why? I repeat again, guys, this budgeted data is given for every 80 units. For every 80 units, you have to use 60 units of X, 40 units of Y. The total input will be 100, 20 will be the normal loss, and 80 will be the output. So this data, this budgeted data is given for 80 units of output. It means for every 80 units, you have to use 60 kgs of X and 40 kgs of Y. But when talking about the actual data, is it given for 80 units of output? No. This is given for 700 units of output. So how can you compare these two figures? Further, let's take a very basic example. Let's say I do manufacture these shirts and one shirt requires 2 meters. Let's take a very easy situation wherein I do manufacture one shirt and one shirt requires 2 meters. This is what my benchmark or target set, that every shirt requires 2 meters. Now, when talking about the actual results, I have consumed 11,000 meters to manufacture 5,000 shirts. Now, my point, guys, are these 2 meters, see, this is the output and this is the input. So are these 2 meters and 11,000 meters comparable? Nowhere, because these 2 meters is for one shirt. Agar bhai 2 meter use kar rahe, to shirt bhi to ek hi ban raha hai. So herein we are using 11,000 meters to manufacture 5,000 shirts. So how can you compare these two figures when the output is different? Herein, if we are using 2 meters, our output is one shirt. Herein, if we are using 11,000 meters, we are getting 5,000 shirts. So how can you compare these when the output is different? So now how to compare? Very simple, guys. One shirt requires 2 meters. 1 unit of output requires 2 inputs. So if we are manufacturing 5,000 shirts, we should have consumed 10,000 meters only. As per the benchmark or target set, one shirt requires 2 meters. हर एक shirt बनाने के लिए 2 मीटर लगता है. So when they're talking about the actual data, we have manufactured 5,000 shirts. So it means how much raw material that was supposed to be consumed. Very simple, 10,000 meters. This much material was supposed to be consumed. But how much we consumed actually? 11,000 meters. It means 1,000 meters extra we consume. We call it as adverse. So my point is, if you want to compare the inputs, the output should be the same. So herein, 5,000 shirts should be used. When talking about 5,000 shirts, 10,000 meters were supposed to be used. But when talking about the actual data, we used 11,000 meters. That is 1,000 meters extra to manufacture 5,000 shirts. So we can say these two figures are comparable and there is a loss of 1,000 meters. If you guys have any doubts, you guys can ask me in this part. So this part, if you guys have any doubts, very simple, guys. The budget was given that for every one shirt, you have to use 2 meters. So actually, we manufactured 5,000 shirts using 11,000 meters. So can we compare 2 meters with 11,000 meters? No. Bhai 2 meter use kar rahe to shirt bhi to ek hi ban raha hai. And if we are using 11,000 meters, we are manufacturing 5,000 shirts. So why these two figures were not comparable? Very simple, because the output is different. So when you want to make it a particular things comparable, the output should be the same. So we will make it comparable that one shirt required 2 meters. So 5,000 shirt will require how many meters? 10,000 meters. But actually we used 11,000 meters. That is 1,000 meters extra. So that is what we call as adverse. Now apply the same principle here. Ki bhai, herein the output is same or not? No. Herein this data is for how much of output? Very simple. This data 60 units of X, 40 units of Y is for 80 units of output. But herein 700 of X, 300 of Y is for how much output? 700 units of output. So are these outputs same? No. So can we compare these two figures? No. We have to make them comparable and then we will calculate the variances. So can you guys tell me how much quantity we were supposed to use for X? I'm waiting for your answers. How much quantity we were supposed to use for X? Can you guys answer me? I've got answer from PS Pooja. Your answer is correct, Pooja. Can you guys tell me that how much quantity we were supposed to use of X? Very simple. 60 units for 80 units of output. 60 units of raw material for 80 output. For 700 of output, how much? Can you guys tell me? Yes, it's a unitary method. Okay, Rajiv Kumar Das, incorrect answer. Pooja Gupta, incorrect answer. Rashmin Majitia, incorrect answer. Himanshu Gupta, Tisha Jain, your answer is correct. Pooja PS, your answer is correct. I repeat again. 60, just like 2 meters for one shirt. It means 60 kgs for 80 output. For 700 output, how much? 60 units for 80 output. So for 700 output, how much? Okay, I've got answer from Himanshu Gupta. Your answer is correct. Rashmin Kumar, incorrect answer. Feba Biju Thomas, incorrect answer. Tanishka Batra, incorrect answer. Yes, Akash Neil, we were supposed to use 60 kgs of X for 80 units of output. So for 700 units of output, how much we should use? Okay, Mantanjali, incorrect answer. Neha, correct answer. Janisha, correct answer. Tisha, correct answer. Jyoti, incorrect answer. Feba Biju Thomas, incorrect answer. Tanishka, very good, correct answer. Atulya, correct answer. Sumit Kumar, incorrect answer. Madhuri, Menka and Rafika, correct answer. Tanishka Agrawal, waiting for your answer. Battu Vijay Kumar, waiting for your answer, dear. Riya Jaiswal, correct answer. Mantanjali, super incorrect answer. Please recheck your calculation, Mantanjali. Anu Gupta, incorrect answer. Poonam Sharma, correct answer. Ankur Singh Patel, yes, your answer is correct. Aradhna. Akash Neil, very good, correct answer. Rajiv Kumar Das, again, incorrect answer. I'm surprised. It's just a normal mathematics. Still, I've got few were not been able to answer. Shrinjani Sinha, incorrect answer. Jyoti Sindhwani, incorrect answer. Tanishka Batra, incorrect answer. Ritika Verma, correct answer. Yes, Rashmin Kumar, your answer is correct. Sushil Kumar Bang, can you please repeat your answer? Yes, it is correct, Sushil Kumar. Very good, Siddhappa, your answer is correct. Shriya, correct answer. Now, let me explain this part again. One shirt, 2 meters. So 5,000 shirts. How much? Very simple. One shirt, 2 meters. 2 meters, one shirt. So 5,000 shirts. How much? Very simple, 10,000. The cross multiplication part. So herein also, the same concept I will apply when talking about X. 60 units, 60 kgs for 80 units of output. So for 700 units of output, how much? So very simple cross multiplication. So 60 divided by 80 into 700. So very simple, guys. For 60 units, 80 output. So for 700 output, how much? 525 kgs. So in short, what it means that for manufacturing these 700 units, 525 kgs of X should have been used. I repeat again, ये 700 यूनिट बनाने के लिए 525 kgs ही यूज करना चाहिए था, but we actually use these 700 kgs. So we call it as revised standard. We are revising the figure from, we are converting this figures from 80 output to 700 output. So how much quantity of X was supposed to be used? 525 kgs. Similarly, we can calculate for Y also. Similarly, for Y also, very simple, 40 kgs for 80 units. So for 700 units of output, how much? 350 kgs. So total 875 kgs were supposed to be used. Total 875 kgs were supposed to be used to manufacture 700 units of output. But when talking about the actual data, X was used 700 kgs, Y was used 300 kgs. My total input were 1000 and the normal loss was 300. And this is how I was getting an output of 700 units. So if you guys have any doubts, you guys can ask me. Yes, Preeti Panchal, your answer was correct. Madhuri Nikare, it is 350, not 150. I am writing this explanation here separately. So for X, 60 for 80 units. So for 700 units, how much? Very simple, 525 kgs. 40 units for 80 units of output. So for 700 units of output, how much quantity was that was supposed to be used? So in short, 525 kgs of X and 350 kgs of Y were supposed to be used. But when talking about the actual data, we use 700 kgs of X and 300 kgs of Y. So I repeat again, we are making this data from 80 units I repeat again, we are converting this data from 80 units to 700 units. We are revising our budget from 80 units of output to 700 units of output. So as per the budget, 525 kgs of X was supposed to be used, and this was supposed to be used at the rate of rupees 5. So it means the total cost of X should not be more than 2625. The total cost of X should be 2625. Similarly, when talking about Y, 350 kgs of Y that were supposed to be used at the rate 4, it means what? The total cost should not be more than 1400. So when talking about the total cost, the overall total cost to manufacture these 700 units should not be more than 4025. So how much cost we were supposed to incur? Very simple. 2625 for X, 1400 for Y. In aggregate, to manufacture 700 units, in aggregate, we were supposed to incur 4025 rupees only. But when talking about the actual data, we actually spent how much? 4300 rupees. If you guys have any doubts in this presentation, you guys can ask me. So most of the hard work is done. So if you guys have any conceptual query, why this 525, why this 350, you guys can ask me. Waiting for your queries. So my point, when there is a material part, you have to check that whether the output is same or not. So when talking about material, the basis of comparison is what? Very important part. In case of material, the basis of comparison is what? Output, or output should be same. Then only we can compare the two figures. Anyone else having any doubts in this presentation part? This is a very important part of the question. I repeat again, when talking about the preparation of this table, first thing, the budgeted data is given only for 80 units. So that's why and the actual data is given for 700 units. So there is a difference in units. The budgeted data is for 80 units and the actual data is for 700 units. So these two figures are not comparable. That's why we have done all this exercise. Let's say budgeted data is also given for 80 units and actual data is also given for 80 units. Then in that case, no need to prepare revised standard. This revised budget or revised standard will be prepared only when the budgeted output and actual output are different. Thank you so much, Harsh Kashyap. Yes, Shivani, your answer was correct of 350 units. So, when talking about the total input should be 875, if we deduct 20% from 875, we will get the output 700 units. The normal loss of 20% of 875 is 175. So it's nothing but we have revised the budget. The budget is for 80 units. We have converted all the figures from 80 units to 700 units. Yes, Nalini C. Sumit, your question is, what you are asking, I repeat again, Sumit, very simple. When talking about the material part, the basis of comparison is output, not input. So just check whether the output, the budgeted output and actual output is same. If yes, no need to do this exercise. But yes, if there is a difference of 20 units also, you have to prepare the revised budget. Let's say my budgeted output is 800 units and my actual output is 850 units. Do I need to prepare the revised data? Yes, because there is a difference in output. So very important, guys, the basis of comparison is output, not input. When talking about 700, I have taken, this is the output 700, not the input 700, Sushil Kumar Bang. I repeat again, in case of material, the basis of comparison is output. Any doubts in this table, guys? Please ask me. Rajiv Kumar Das, Manthanjali, your answer was incorrect. Any doubts? Aradhana, Jyoti, Shrinjani Sinha, any doubts, guys? No worries, Mr. Farad. So, I repeat again, guys. For manufacturing these 700 units, 525 kgs of X was supposed to be used at the rate 5, but we used 700 kgs of X at the rate 4. Similarly, for manufacturing 700 units, 350 kgs of X was supposed to be used at the rate 4. However, for manufacturing these 700 units, we used 300 kgs only at the rate 5. So, when talking about the total cost, how much total cost was supposed to be incurred? 4,025. But how much we actually incurred? 4,300. It means we incurred 275 rupees extra to manufacture these 700 units. So these 275 extra cost, that is what we incurred, is adverse for the company. So now the management is, now the head of the material department is clear with the entire picture that there is a loss of 275 from my end, assuming, let's say, these figures are in 1,000. So how much cost was supposed to be incurred? Very simple, 4,025. But how much we incurred? 4,300. How much extra we incurred? 275. That is adverse for the company because it is the extra cost. So this 275 is what? The difference in the total cost of material. That is the cost that was supposed to be incurred is how much? 4,025. But the cost that is actually incurred is 4,300. It means 275 extra we have incurred. So that's why we call it as, it is not good for the company. We have incurred extra cost. So that's why we call it as adverse. So no need to write complete adverse. you can simply write A, that is more than sufficient. So this is the difference in the total cost. So we call it as material cost difference or material cost variance. Alternatively, we can also calculate as how much quantity of X was supposed to be used? 525 kgs. At the rate how much? 5. But how much quantity we actually used? 700 at the rate 4. So similarly for Y also, how much quantity was supposed to be used? 350 kgs at the rate 4. How much we actually used? 300 kgs at the rate 5. So this is 100 adverse and this is 175 adverse. So the total is 275 adverse. So this is what we call as the overall difference in the cost of material. That is, the difference in the quantity is also considered, the difference in the price is also considered. So this is the overall cost variance, what we call it as material cost variance. So if you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can ask me. No worries, Srinjani Sinha. Thank you so much, Shivani. Kanani Rutvik Kumar. This is the question. I repeat again, this is the question wherein we were supposed to purchase X and Y at the rate 5 and 4. So these were the standard rates as suggested by the management. But when talking about the actual rate, this is the actual price we paid for material X and Y. Anyone else having any doubts in this part? That is material cost variance. That is material department के head को पता तो चल गया है कि now there is a loss, there is a inefficiency from our side because there is a loss of 275 we are contributing to the overall loss of the company. So he is out with the figure with the help of material cost variance. That is the cost that was supposed to be incurred, that is 4025, and the cost that is actually incurred is 4300. So the extra cost that is actually the extra cost we incurred is 275. That is what we call as adverse. Further, we can calculate in another way also. That is 525 kgs use hona chahiye tha at the rate 5, but we use 700 kgs at the rate 4. So it means what? The cost of material was supposed to be 2625, but it was actually 2800. So if you guys have any doubts, you guys can ask me. No worries, Mantanjali. Now, the head of the material department is clear with the picture कि भाई मेरे department में कुछ ना कुछ तो गलत हुआ है. It means there is a loss of 275. Now, what are the mistakes that the material department did? Very simple. When talking about the quantity, 525 kgs were supposed to be used, but they actually used 700. It means there is a difference in the quantity consumed. So the first difference is the difference in the quantity consumed, and the second difference is that we were supposed to purchase material X at the rate 5, but we purchased this X at the rate 4. So there is a difference in quantity consumed as well as the rate. These two factors are contributing to the total cost of the material. That is what we call as material cost variances. So we'll be considering these two factors, that is the quantity consumed and the price, separately. That is the quantity consumed and the price separately. Now, when talking about the pricing part, the material head himself goes nowhere to buy the material. When talking about the pricing part, material head is responsible for the entire department. There are many subordinates, there are many juniors who are working under the material head person. So, when talking about the first person that is responsible for the pricing part, he is the purchase manager. Who is the person responsible for pricing part? Very simple, purchase manager. This person is responsible to purchase the material at the price set by the management or set as per the standards. Or if not, then at least he should purchase the desired raw material at a more competitive price than the price is set by the management. So very simple. The head of the material department is clear with the picture कि भाई मेरे department ने 275 का loss किया है. Now he has to find out that who is the culprit, either the purchase manager or the production manager who is responsible to check the quantity consumed. So he first of all called the purchase manager कि Mr. Purchase Manager, please come to my cabin and justify me that you are not responsible for this loss of 275. So let's say Mr. Rajiv Kumar is the purchase manager of this company. Mr. Rajiv Kumar is the purchase manager of this company, and he says, sir, I am not responsible for this loss of 275. Just give me some time, I'll justify you the same. Now, very important, listen to the justification as given by Rajiv Kumar Das. Very simple. So, Rajiv Kumar Das says, sir, I was instructed to purchase X. I was instructed to purchase X at the rate how much? Very simple, 5. I repeat again, very clearly, very carefully listen to the statement of Rajiv Kumar Das, that is the purchase manager of this company. He says that, sir, I was supposed to purchase X at the rate 5. Very simple. But when talking about the actual purchase price, I purchased it at 4 rupees only. That is 1 rupee less than what the management has set the target. मतलब मैंने 1 रुपये कंपनी का फायदा करवाया. Now, since I purchased 700 units, so my performance will be based on the basis of units purchased. I was instructed by the management to purchase 700 units, so I purchased 700 units. So herein I can say it is 700 favorable for me. Similarly for Y, I was instructed by the management to purchase it for 4, but somehow, somewhere I did a mistake and the material was not available. I purchased it for 5 rupees. The quantity I actually purchased is 300. So there is a loss of 300. So still, I made a profit of 400 rupees. I repeat again. Thank you so much, Ajay. So, very important, listen to the statement of Rajiv Kumar Das. I am repeating again and again. He says, sir, I was instructed by the management to purchase it at the rate 5. The raw material X at the rate 5, but I purchased it at the rate 4. Now, when talking about the quantity I purchased, I actually purchased 700 units. Now, Very important, guys, very important. The purchase department is not responsible कि कितना quantity use होना चाहिए था, कितना quantity use हुआ. He simply got the mail from the production department that what practically happens, the purchase department is nowhere interested that how much raw material was supposed to be used and how much it is actually used. Since he was instructed via email that you have to buy 700 units of X and 300 units of Y, so he purchased it accordingly. He is nowhere bothered that this was supposed to be used and this was actually used. He is nowhere interested. He is simply interested in his price, that this much price I should have purchased, but actually I purchased it for so and so price. When talking about evaluating his performance, he will simply say, sir, I was instructed to purchase 700 and 300 units. I have purchased 700 and 300 units. So still I made a profit of 400. So it means what? I'm not contributing towards loss, but I have made a profit of 400 to the company. So if you guys have any doubts in this statement of Rajiv Kumar, you guys can ask me. Yes, the person who sets the budget is a very experienced person, Pooja. So anyone having any doubts that why I have taken 700 and 300, very simple. Purchase manager को कोई लेना देना नहीं है. How much quantity was supposed to be used, how much is actually used. He is simply concerned about the price part. The duty of the purchase manager is what? To purchase the raw material at a competitive price. So he is only concerned about the price part. But when talking about the quantity, ये 700 and 300 यूनिट्स कंज्यूम हुए होंगे, तो कहां से कंज्यूम हुए होंगे? परचेज मैनेजर ने परचेज किया होगा तभी कंज्यूम हुए होंगे. So simply purchase manager will say that I was instructed to purchase 700 units of X, 300 units of Y. I purchased it, and this is how my performance is evaluated, and my variance is 400 favorable rather than adverse. If you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can ask me. That is very simple. The price that was supposed to be the price which we were supposed to, the price at which we were supposed to purchase X, 5, we actually purchased 4 into the quantity what I actually purchased. Rajiv Kumar Das actually purchased that much of quantity. So his performance will be evaluated on the quantity actually purchased. So this is how we have got the price part. So we call this variance, since this variance talks about the price, that is the difference in the price, how much price we should have purchased and how much price we actually purchased. So this variance tells about the difference in the price. So we call it as material price variance. So if you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can ask me. When talking about the material price variance, the purchase, this talks about the performance of the purchase department. And when talking about the purchase department, very simple, guys, they talks about the price. क्या price में खरीदना चाहिए था? Very simple. क्या price में खरीदा into the quantity what I actually purchased. So this is how we get the material price variance. If you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys. Rajiv Kumar Das, Tanishka Agrawal. Yes, Isha Jaiswal, well said. Jyoti, Ajay, Ankur Singh Patel, Ritika, Madhuri, any doubts? So guys, can you guys tell me that how much loss is due to the inefficiency of the production manager? I repeat again, can you guys tell me how much loss the company suffered due to the inefficiency of the production manager? Because when talking about the overall loss, there is an overall loss of 275. But when talking about the work done by the purchase manager, he simply justifies that I have not contributed to loss. Even I have made a profit of 400 to the company. So can you guys tell me how much is the loss that is contributed by the production manager? Very true, Harsh. Very good. Can you guys tell me how much is the loss to the company due to the work done by the production manager? Further, any doubts in this part? Rajiv Kumar Das, any doubts? Because it is your department, Rajiv. I repeat again, very simple material price variance that represents the performance of the purchase manager. क्या प्राइस में खरीदा था 5 में, क्या रेट पे खरीदा 4 में. So difference of 1 rupees, that is 1 rupees favorable into the actual quantity purchase, that is 700 units. Very simple, guys. Overall there is a loss of 275, wherein purchase manager has made a profit of 400. It means what? The loss made by the production manager will be how much? Very simple, 675 adverse. Yes, Mantanjali. The overall loss that is contributed by the production manager is 675. We will be calculating the loss separately, but this is the overall loss. Now, how to evaluate and how to judge the performance of production head? I just want to know once again, do you guys have any query in this part? Why 700? Why 300? Why 5 minus 4? If you guys have any queries in this part, because this is a very important part of the chapter, that is material variance. Labor variance is completely dependent upon the understanding of material variance. So if you guys have any conceptual query in this part, you guys can ask me. I repeat again, very simple when talking about the price variance, very simple. The price at which it was supposed to be purchased, that is 5 minus 4 into actual quantity. Why I have taken actual quantity? Very simple, because purchase manager is not at all concerned about how much quantity that was supposed to be used. He is simply concerned about his price, and when talking about the quantity, he will purchase the quantity as instructed by the production department. I think so, Harsh. I have not got any reply from Rajiv Kumar. So now, let's start with the work. Let's start with the we can calculate that this much is the loss of the production department. But very important, guys, just see the justification as made by the production department, production manager. So now the head of the material department is convinced that Mr. Rajiv Kumar Das has contributed to a profit of rupees 400 to the company. So he says that I appreciate your efforts. Thank you so much. And try to purchase Y also at a competitive price. This is what the management will do. That you have purchased X at a competitive price. So why not try and purchase Y also at a competitive price? Now, so he goes out of the cabin. Now what the material head will do, he will call the production head. that is the production manager. Now, let's say Mr. Hirsch is the production manager. Now, the material head say that Mr. Hirsch, I think you are the person who is responsible for this loss of 275 to the company, because your dear friend Mr. Rajiv Kumar Das has well stated that he has made a profit of 400. So it means whatever the loss that is to the company, you are only contributing. Now, very important, listen to the statement of Mr. Hirsch. Very important, listen to the statement of Mr. Hirsch. Sir, let me justify. He says that as per the records, I should have used 525 kgs of X. We are talking about the quantity consumed. So, listen to the statement of Hirsch, that is the person responsible for manufacturing, that is the production manager. He says that how much quantity that was supposed to be used for X? Very simple, 525 kgs. How much I actually used? 700 kgs. Very simple for Y also, very simple. How much quantity was supposed to be used for Y? 350 kgs. How much quantity he actually used? 300 kgs. Now, very important part, the pricing part. Is purchase manager at all concerned about the work of the production manager? No. So, production manager performance will not be judged on the basis of work done by the purchase manager. Production manager will simply say, I am not at all concerned about kya price pe actually kharida. I simply have the price 5 and 4. So my performance will be evaluated only on the basis of the standard price. Why? The work that has been done by the purchase manager should be considered to evaluate my performance. So herein we will take the standard price. Why standard price? Because since the purchase department is not at all bothered about how much raw material is to be used, simply the production manager is also not at all concerned about that how much price the purchase manager actually purchased the material. So that's why we have taken the standard price, that is 5 and 4. So now Mr. Hirsch is clear that yes, he has contributed to a loss of 675. Now the material head cannot remove Mr. Hirsch because he is a very senior person and he is the production manager. He is responsible for the entire production department wherein he do carry on the manufacturing activity. So he cannot remove him. But yes, he can give him the warning. The material department head can warn him that please check your juniors. Your juniors are spoiling your name. So please keep a track on the juniors who are working under you. So very simple. This is what the difference in the usage, that is how much raw material that was supposed to be used, how much it is actually used. So we call it as material usage variance. So when talking about the work of the production manager, he is responsible for usage of material. So when talking about usage, how much raw material was supposed to be used for X? 525 kgs. How much it is actually used? 700 kgs. 175 kgs extra. But when talking about the price part, production manager will simply say that for me, the price is 5 and 4. My performance should not be evaluated on the basis of the work done by the manager, purchase manager, that is 4 and 5. So my performance will be evaluated separately using the standard price only, that is 5 and 4. So if you guys have any doubts in the usage part, you guys can ask me. Very simple. इतना यूज होना चाहिए था, इतना यूज हुआ इनटू स्टैंडर्ड प्राइस. Actual price will not be taken because it represents the work done by the purchase manager. So if you guys have any doubts, any queries in this part, you guys can ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys. Mr. Harsh, any doubts? Rajiv Kumar Das, Mantanjali, Aradhna, Rafika, Pooja, Poonam Sharma, Shrinjani Sinha, Akash Neel, Ankit Gupta, Hitesh Jain, waiting for your answers. Where are you today? Madhuri. Thank you so much, Prabhas Jain. Guys, why I'm explaining these things in detail? Because the most of the students who find the difficulty, the most of the students face this challenge that how to memorize the formula. So very simple, guys, no need to memorize the formula. Just try to remember the concepts. That is more than sufficient. So when talking about price variance, very simple. क्या प्राइस पे परचेस करना चाहिए था माइनस क्या प्राइस पे हमने एक्चुअली परचेस किया इनटू एक्चुअल क्वांटिटी. Why actual quantity? Because purchase manager is not at all concerned about the work done, the work to be done by the production manager. When talking about usage variance, very simple. This much quantity was supposed to be used minus the quantity that is actually used into standard price. Why standard price? Because the work of the production manager will not be evaluated on the work done by the purchase manager. Can you please elaborate your query, Rekha? Manthanjali, what exactly you are finding difficult? My dear, very simple, Manthanjali. When talking about usage, very simple. 525x का यूज होना चाहिए था, 700 यूज हुआ into standard price. Why standard price? I have already explained. Similarly, for Y also, 350 kgs were supposed to be used and we actually used 300 kgs. So it means what? There is a saving of 50 kgs into 4. So Mantanjali, please explain in detail what you are asking. Thank you, Ramakrishna. Don't worry, there is no alternative concept. There is no alternative, but best approach to study is to learn the concepts rather than mugging up the formulas. Thank you so much, Rashmin Kumar. Thank you so much, Pooja. Manthanjali, waiting for your query. Can you please help me out with your query, Manthanjali? Rajiv Kumar Das, Tanishka Agrawal, Shivani, Ritika Verma, any doubts? Harsh, any doubts? Madhuri? Sushil Kumar Bank, any doubts? Manthanjali, my dear, please check your calculation. It is 520 minus 700 is 175 only, not 225. You badly need a cup of coffee, Manthanjali. 525 minus 700 is 175, not 225, dear. I think you are still sleeping. Okay, Madhuri. When talking about the work done by the purchase manager, it is evaluated on the basis of actual quantity. Why actual quantity? Very simple. Purchase manager is not at all concerned about how much quantity was supposed to be used, how much they are using. He simply get the instructions via email from the production manager that this much quantity you have to purchase. What all documents these production manager or storekeeper issue that I've already discussed in material cost control. This is the detailed statement as given by the production manager. Anyways, we were able to calculate the loss simply that there is a loss of 275 overall and he made a profit of 400. So the overall loss that is made by the material, that is the production manager, is 675 only. No worries, Mantanjali. Okay, Rajiv Kumar. So guys, let's take a break of 10 minutes. Much needed break. Then we'll be back with the remaining part of material variance and further we'll discuss few questions more on material variance. So let's take a break of 10 minutes. In the meanwhile, I request you guys to please take the screenshot and try to revise what I have discussed till now. So just take the screenshot, guys. So I request you to revise what I have discussed till now. Manthanjali, have a cup of coffee because 525 minus 700 is 175, not 225. So let's take a break of 10 minutes. We'll be back after a break. Yes. Welcome back, guys, after a much needed break. So let me check if there are any queries. Well said, Rajiv Kumar Das. Writing, if you write it in the session, it's better than taking screenshot. Yes, Tanishka, I'm getting all your messages. That's a nice compliment. Thank you so much, Sushil Kumar. I do take costing only. I used to teach taxation earlier, but I've stopped taking now because even I don't have that much of time to keep myself updated. But anyways, taxation is a very easy subject. Try to memorize the laws and then try to apply these laws on practical question. The tip to attend taxation is try to solve as many questions as you can after memorizing the provisions. So, Madhuri, 400 is favorable, 675 is adverse. So the net cost variance will be 275 adverse. So guys, now we are done with the first part, that is the first part of material variance, wherein we discussed material cost variance, price variance and usage variance. Now till now what we are able to figure out that the entire loss is due to the inefficiency of the production manager, but it is not correct because he is the in charge of the production. He is not involved in day-to-day process. Under the production manager, few more employees are working. So we have to analyze the work done by these employees, that is the junior or that is the subordinates of the production manager. Now see, there is a difference in usage of X and Y, that is 525 to 700 and 350 to 300. So there is a difference in overall usage. Now, again, under the production manager, two persons are working. That is the person, first of all, who is the engineer, who is responsible for mixing the inputs. So herein, when talking about the work done by the engineer, so what production manager will do, as the corporate culture says, कि senior अपना सारा गुस्सा जो है अपने juniors पे निकालते हैं. So herein, the head of the material department shouted on the production manager. Now definitely the production manager is going to shout on these two subordinates. That is, the first one is the engineer who is responsible for mixing the material, and the second one is the ultimate production supervisor who actually keeps a check on how much raw material is introduced and how much output we are getting. So let's say Mr. Hirsch, the production manager, will call the first of all the engineer. Let's say Mantanjali is the engineer of this company, and her responsibility is to maintain the mix and to manufacture the quality product. So let's say Mantanjali is the engineer and Mr. Hirsch called Mantanjali and he blasted on her that there is a loss of 675 in our department, and I think you are the person responsible of this because आपने पूरा mix ही बिगाड़ दिया. So now, very important, see the justification that is made by Mantanjali. So Mantanjali says, sir, as advised by the management and as instructed by you, the adequate mix should be 60:40. मतलब कि जो mix का ratio होना चाहिए, अगर X 60 होता है तो Y क्या होना चाहिए 40. So the mix should be in the ratio of 60:40. It means what? Whatever the inputs we are making, that is the 1000 inputs we are making, it should be in the ratio of 60:40. It means the ratio should be 60:40 for X and Y. Now, when talking about the actual mix, it was 700:300. I repeat again, if there is a difference in overall usage of material, two persons are responsible for the same. The first one is the engineer and the second one is the production supervisor. Who ultimately stands with the labor and ultimately manufacture the products. So when talking about the engineer, he is responsible to maintain the mix. आप घर पे चाय बनाते हैं. So let's say the mix should be 60:40 of milk and water. आपने mix 70:30 कर दिया, तो definitely पानी का consumption और milk का consumption आपका change हो जाएगा. So here in this case, the 1000 kgs is the total input. The actual input, it should be in the ratio of 60:40. That is 600:400. When talking about the actual mix was 700:300. So there is a difference in mix. And since these all are the subordinates of the production department, the production manager, so herein their performance will not be evaluated on the basis of work done by the purchase manager. For them, the standard price is the only price they have. So 5 and 4. So this will be 500 adverse and this will be 400 favorable. So still, the loss made by engineer is 100 only. So when talking about the production manager, the total loss of his department is 675. But Mantanjali says, sir, I have contributed to a loss of 100 only. It means I have not contributed to that much of loss. Further, she can also give a justification, sir, that I have changed the mix. But let's say she can say that my product quality has improved. We can build a goodwill in the market. So she somehow can escape from this all this nuisance by simply saying that, sir, even though I have changed the mix, but the quality of output is superb and we can build the reputation in the market. So I repeat again, when talking about evaluating the work done by the engineer, very simple, he is responsible for mix, to maintain the adequate mix. So when talking about the mix as per the budget, it should be in the ratio of 60:40. It means whatever the input you guys are making, it should be in the ratio of 60:40. So our actual inputs were 1000 kgs. So this should be in the ratio of 60:40. That is 600:400. When talking about the actual mix, it was 700 and 300. So due to change in mix, we had a loss of 100. So this represents the work done by the engineer. So herein, this is the difference due to change in mix. So we call it as material mix variance. So very simple guys, material mix variance, क्या mix होना चाहिए था और क्या mix हुआ. Very simple, the 1000 input should be in the ratio of 60:40. The actual input, that is 1000 kgs, should be in the ratio of 60:40. But when talking about the actual mix, it was 70:30, that is 700:300. So we will be able to calculate or evaluate the work done by the engineer with the help of material mix variance. So this is how I have calculated material mix variance. So if you guys have any doubts in this part, you guys can ask me, waiting for your queries. Yes, Siddhappa. It's not like that, Ankit Gupta. Anyways, thank you. Everyone is good. It's your approach. I mean, how you are studying with them. All the faculties are good. Yes, Pooja, the notes are very helpful. The notes will be very helpful for you. So keep on writing during my lecture. Even I do give you guys some time to write the notes. So when I'm teaching, when I'm explaining, try to listen to me what I'm explaining. I'll give you time to write all the notes also. Very good, Prabhas Jain. So, any doubts about the work done by the Mantanjali? Somehow she can escape saying that, sir, even though I have changed the mix, but our product quality has been improved. कि sir 60% दूध डालना था, 40% पानी डालना था, मैंने 70% milk डाल दिया. So my product quality has improved. So she somehow can escape. But very important, guys, can this guy escape? No chance at all, because there is an overall loss of uses department of 675, wherein she is contributing for 100 adverse. It means the production supervisor is contributing for 575 adverse. So this guy cannot escape. I'll be discussing this part also, but in the meanwhile, if you guys have any doubts, because most of the students find difficulty in calculating mixed variance. So very important, guys, the actual quantity 1000 should be in the ratio of 60:40, but the actual ratio was 70:30. So into standard price. Why standard price? Because these all are the subordinates of the production department. So if you guys have any doubts, you guys can ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys. Thank you so much, Feba. It's not like that. This guy has saved the company with the loss, wherein he has made a profit of 400. So now we are done with this mixed part. So this guy has no excuse, that is the production supervisor. So Mr. Rajiv Kumar, the purchase manager, has did a great job. He saved rupees 400. When talking about the work done by the Hirsch, since he is the senior most guys, the company cannot fire him. But somehow, somewhere, they can tell him to be very careful with your juniors. So as far as the performance of Hirsch, that is the production manager, he had made a loss of 675. That is, his department has made a loss of 675. When talking about the first person, that is Mantanjali, the engineer, somehow, somewhere she can escape. Even though there is a loss of 100, but the product quality has been improved, but there is no solution for the work done by the production supervisor. He need to be fired immediately, because the maximum loss in the company is because of this guy, that is the production supervisor. So I will not name a particular students, because they will feel bad. Sir, main hi kyun? So guys, when evaluating the work of the production supervisor, that is the ultimate labor, who is standing with the labor and using raw material. So let's say, guys, these 700 units should be manufactured using overall 875 kgs of input. These 700 units of output should be manufactured using 875 kgs of input. It means, I repeat again, 875 kgs of input should be used to manufacture 700 units of output. But for manufacturing these 700 units, we actually used 1000 kgs. It means 125 kgs extra we used. I repeat again, I'll be discussing this mixed part again, guys. Let me complete this part. To manufacture 700 units of output, we should have used how much? 875 kgs of inputs only. But instead of 875, हमने 125 kgs extra use किया. Now ये 125 kgs जो extra use किया, certain percentage is X, certain percentage is Y. So my point is, which price we should take? Either 5 or 4 or 4.5. No, neither 5 nor 4 nor 4.5. Better it is use the weighted average price. That is, I repeat again, 120 in this 125 kgs, certain percentage is X, certain percentage is Y. So 5 is not advisable, 4 is not advisable. Simple average is not advisable because there is no equal proportion of X and Y. So better use the weighted average price, that is 525 into 5, 350 into 4, total 4025 divided by 875. This is how we will get 575 adverse. There are many other ways to calculate this variance, but I have calculated in the simplest way and I'll be discussing this method only. So please don't ask guys what are all other methods. Better use this approach. This is the easiest approach and the best approach that you can solve this question quickly. So this variance is the yield variance, that is how much output we are getting from the input. So this is called as material. So ultimately, this guy has no choice. I mean, the company has no choice, no explanation for this guy. This guy should be fired immediately because he made a loss of 125 kgs overall. या तो वो अपने घर पे लेके चला गया होगा या खुद ही बैठे बैठे खा लिया होगा if it is a food based industry. So very simple. There is no explanation for this guy, that is the ultimate production supervisor, because there is a straight away loss of 125 kgs. He has misutilized the material or there is a theft of material. So there is no explanation for this guy. This guy should be removed with immediate effect. So material yield variance, I repeat again, for manufacturing 700 units, 875 the raw material should have been used. When talking about the actual raw material, it is 1000 kgs. It means we have used extra 125 kgs. This 125 kgs constitute X as well as Y. So we have taken the weighted average price, that is 4025 divided by 875. This is the weighted average price. So this is all what about? Yes, Pantanjali. Now there is a query, sir, 600, 400 kaise aaya? Very simple. 1000 should be in the ratio of 6:4. So X 1000 into 60 by 100 and Y 1000 into 40 by 100. So this is how I got 600 and 400. So this is the way we calculated the mix part and yield part. Very simple. How much raw material was supposed to be used in aggregate? 875. How much raw material we actually used? 1000. It means overall 125 kgs were consumed extra into the weighted average price of X and Y. So this is how we will get 575. There are many other ways to calculate yield variance, but this is the easiest method. So I have discussed this accordingly. So as I said, standard costing technique help us to first of all find out the variance. So now we have got the overall variance of 275 adverse. Now who is the person responsible for this loss? The purchase manager? No. The production manager? No, because he is the head of the department. The mix, that is the engineer, no, because somehow somewhere she can escape. But is there any explanation? Is there any justification? I mean, ये बंदा कुछ भी justify कर सकता है क्या? Not at all possible. He has to simply put the raw material in the machine and get the final product. So there is no explanation for this guy. Either there is misuse of raw material or excessive usage of raw material, or there is a theft of raw material. So this guy should be fired out immediately. So this standard costing technique, in a very easy way, we can say it provides the diagnostic report. आप अगर बीमार हैं, so what doctor will suggest you to go for a blood test? With the help of blood test. So this is the test report of the company. Once the test report is with the doctor, he can simply say that this is the problem with you, and he will give the medicine accordingly. So this is the test report for the company. It will help us to figure out that where is going wrong in the company, and they can take immediate action on that person accordingly. So I repeat again, guys, it's just like a simple, like a blood test report. If you are not well, you will visit doctor. Doctor will advise you to go for a blood test report. So after getting the blood test report, he will be able to figure out that this is what the problem with you. So similarly, this is the complete test report of the material department. So after preparing this report, management can figure out that this is the reason behind this loss. So ये बंदे की वजह से सब सरदर्द है. So better fix this problem immediately. So that's why we can say it's a management tool for decision making. It assists management in decision making. So this is all what about material part. If you guys have any doubts, you guys can ask me. Sneha Anand, this 125 kgs contains X as well as Y, but not in equal proportion, in 60-40 ratio. So we cannot use the simple average method. So better use weighted average method only. Yes, Pooja, this is more like a report. Thank you so much, Siddhappa. I'll be discussing 2 to 3 questions, Shweta Jain, don't worry. See, for 700 units of output, 875 kgs were supposed to be used, but we actually used the actual input, that is 1000 kgs. So this is how I got 125 kgs. Anyone else having any queries? Weighted average price method, very simple. You have to consider the quantity as well as the price. So here in 525 into 5 plus 350 into 4, 4025 divided by 875. So guys, let's take a quick recap of what we have discussed till now. Very simple, guys. Please listen to me. No need to post any queries. Just focus on what I am saying. Very simple, guys. This was the budget. These were the actual figures. The budget and actual figures were not comparable. Why? because the budgeted output is 80 unit and the actual output is 700 units. So we have to make them comparable. Very simple, by preparing revised standard. कैसे prepare करना है? Very simple. 60 input for 80 output. For 700 output, how much? 525. 40 input for 80 output. For 700 output, how much? 350. So in short, for manufacturing these 700 units, 525 units were supposed to be used at the rate 5 and 350 units were supposed to be used at the rate 4. So this much cost that was supposed to be incurred, that is 4025, but the cost that is actually incurred is 4300. So this is how I got 275. Alternatively, you can say 525 kgs at the rate 5 were supposed to be used minus 700 into 4. Similarly for Y, this is the way we will calculate the material cost variance. Now there is a formula given in study material. I hope you guys can prepare the formula on your own. That is 525 kgs at the rate 5, standard quantity into standard price, minus 700 into 4, that is actual quantity into actual price. So this is the formula for material cost variance. So now the company is clear with the picture that there is a loss of 275 and two persons are responsible. First one is the purchase manager. His duty is to keep a check on the price. So when talking about price variance, क्या price पे purchase करना चाहिए था? Standard price पे purchase करना चाहिए था. At what price we purchased? Actual price into actual quantity. That is, we were supposed to purchase X at the rate 5, but we purchased at the rate 4 into 700. Why 700? Because they were instructed by the production manager that you have to purchase 700. So standard price minus actual price into actual quantity. Moving towards the next part, that is work done by Mr. Hirsch. Very simple. They talks about the usage. How much quantity was supposed to be used? Very simple, standard quantity. How much quantity we actually used? Actual quantity into the standard price. So this is the formula for material usage variance. When talking about mix and yield variance, very simple. 1000 input should be in the ratio of 60:40, but the actual ratio was 70:30, that is 700 into 300 into the standard price. So when talking about the formula, very simple, standard mix minus actual quantity into standard price. And no formula for this one. There is a separate formula given in the material, but I have solved in a comparatively easier way. So here in the formula is a standard quantity minus standard mix into standard price. So you can refer the study material for the formulas, but still I suggest no need to memorize the formulas. Better learn the concept. If you are thorough with the concepts, you can easily prepare formulas. So when talking about cost variance, standard quantity into standard price minus actual quantity into actual price. When talking about price variance, standard price में खरीदना चाहिए था, actual price में खरीदा into actual quantity. So standard price minus actual price into actual quantity. Usage variance, कितना use करना चाहिए था? Standard quantity. कितना use किया? Actual quantity into standard price. Why standard price? Because the production manager performance cannot be evaluated on the basis of the work done by the purchase manager. Mix. How much should be the mix? Standard mix minus, when talking about actual mix, actual quantity is the actual mix into standard price. So this is all what about the material variance. The formulas of material variance as given in the study material. So giving you 2 to 3 minutes time to please copy everything, plus write all your explanation comments in your notebook, because these comments and explanation will be helpful for you while revising for the exams. So giving you 3 to 4 minutes time, please copy this part, and in the meanwhile, those who are having any doubts can please post your queries. Thank you so much, Harsh. Thank you so much, Mantanjali. I request you guys to learn this chapter using the concepts rather than formulas. So any one of you have queries, you guys can ask me. Waiting for your queries, guys. Pooja, this will be given in the question. Rashmin Kumar, very simple. The price, क्या price पे खरीदना था? 5 rupees पे. That is the standard price. What क्या price पे हमने खरीदा? Actual price into Pooja, what if in case if there is no breakdown, there is no explanation for the same? Very good, Riya Jaiswal. Anyone else having any doubts, queries? No, Rekha, because we have made the separate calculation for X and Y both. Herein it is the joint calculation, 125 kgs. The difference in 125 kgs can be of X and Y both. So that's why I have taken the weighted average price. Ramakrishna, mix variance, very simple. क्या mix होना चाहिए था? 60:40. That is whatever the inputs we are making, actual inputs we are making, it should be in the ratio of 60:40. It means 1000 should be in the ratio of 600:400 minus the actual mix, that is 700:300. So the mix variance represents the difference in the mix. The price variance represents the difference in the price. The usage variance represents the difference in the usage. So mix variance also a difference in the mix. What should be the mix and what is the actual mix? What should be the mix? 1000 should be in the ratio of 60:40, that is 600:400. But when talking about the actual mix, it was 700:300. So this is what we call as mix variance into standard price. Yes, Arivin. Thank you so much, Avishka. The abnormal loss is due to abnormal reasons, so no one can be blamed for the same, Pooja. If there is due to abnormal reasons, no one can be blamed. Aradhana, when talking about the yield variance, that is in output from input. So how much input we should make to manufacture 700 units, 875 kgs. How much we actually input we made 1000 kgs. So 125 kgs extra inputs we used. So this is a loss to us. When talking about 125 kgs, certain percentage is X, certain percentage is Y. So better take the weighted average price only. Rafika Mehman, I didn't taught you the formula. So your answer is, your comment is incorrect that, sir, you made formula very easy to us. There are no formulas in standard costing. You simply try to memorize the concept and you can apply these concepts in your manufacturing business also, because these concepts are widely used in the manufacturing industries. Thank you so much, Aditya. Yes, PS Pooja. Anyone else having any doubts, queries, can ask me. Waiting for your doubts. Else, I'll be concluding the session. In the next session, be prepared for my questions, because I'll be asking you many questions in the live session. So I want you guys to revise what I have discussed till now. Revise thoroughly what I have discussed till now. In the next session, we'll be discussing 2 to 3 questions on material variances. Plus, apart from this, I'll be putting up few questions in the live class. So I want you guys to be prepared for these questions. So thank you guys. Thank you for this. Thank you for your time and patience. Thank you so much for actively participating in the session. I've got answers from many of you. So thank you so much, guys. Take care, guys, and try to memorize the concept what I have discussed in detail. This entire session of 2.5 hours, I have discussed only the concepts. So the only reason behind it, that my students should not memorize the formula. They should they should learn the concept. See, अगर मैं ये पार्ट जो है आपको फॉर्मूला से डिस्कस करता, तो दिस पार्ट वुड बी फिनिश्ड इन हाफ एन आवर. But why I have taken 2.5 hours? Just to make you guys clear with the concepts. Because in exams, if the question is as per a particular pattern, you can solve with the help of formula. But what if in case, if the question pattern is a bit different or confusing, trust me guys, you won't be able to apply formulas. Then the concepts will come into picture and you have to apply your concepts. So guys, try to memorize the concepts rather than learning the formulas. Practice this same question twice after the end of this session. So in the next session, you guys will be prepared for my questions. Apart from this, I'll be discussing few questions of the study material also. So thank you so much guys for your time and patience. Have a great day. See you in the next class. I think today is Friday. Today is Friday, so you guys have a long weekend. So my homework for today is only to solve this question twice in writing. I repeat again, my homework for today is to solve this question twice in writing using your concepts rather than memorizing the formula. Rest all, you can enjoy your weekend from my side. It's a long weekend, Saturday and Sunday. So see you guys on Monday with standard costing. I'll be discussing few questions, and there are many more departments we have to investigate. That is the labor and fixed overhead and variable overhead. So I'll be discussing this part in the next session and next coming session. So thank you so much, guys. Have a great day. Take care. Enjoy. Sir, I have concluded the session.